Welcome to English Unlimited. I'm truly grateful that you're here, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video till the end. On this channel, we go beyond basic vocabulary. You will learn high-level C1 and C2 English, explore powerful words, and master how to use them naturally in real life. Every lesson is designed to help you think sharper, speak confidently, and express yourself with clarity and elegance. And today, I'm going to share 4 powerful stories, each written at an advanced level, filled with rich vocabulary and meaningful lessons. If you listen carefully, you will learn a lot from every story, new expressions, deeper word usage, and elite-level storytelling that will strengthen your English like never before. So take a deep breath, relax, and enjoy the journey. Your English transformation starts right now, and I'm honored to guide you through it. Let's begin. Story 1. The Vanishing Heir of Hawthorne Estate. The rain fell heavily over the Hawthorne Estate, a sprawling mansion known for its old-world charm and quiet decadence. Inside, a gathering of the city's elite had assembled, though the atmosphere was far from festive. A profoundly daunting mystery had taken hold of the family. Alexander Hawthorne, the only heir, had disappeared without a trace. Alexander was brilliant, charming, and raised with impeccable discipline, far removed from the debauchery that plagued many wealthy heirs. But he had grown increasingly deficient in energy over the past months, suffering a strange debilitation that no doctor could explain. What began as fatigue soon threatened to debilitate him completely, leaving him withdrawn and pale. Tonight's meeting in the Grand Hall had already turned into a quiet debacle. Voices clashed, old grudges surfaced, and accusations flew like arrows. One uncle claimed Alexander had run away to escape the family's expectations. Another insisted he had been kidnapped. The discordant theories did nothing but deplete the family's dwindling hope. Lord Hawthorne, the patriarch, finally issued a stern decree: no one leaves this room until we deliberate with reason, not emotion. His calm demeanor carried weight, and even those who usually acted in defiance obeyed. To solve the mystery, he chose to delegate authority to Eleanor Finch, a private investigator known for her deft reasoning and impeccable judgment. Eleanor stepped forward, her presence neither grand nor loud, but undeniably sharp. She surveyed the room, each relative, each servant, each expression. What she found most deplorable was not the fear, but the way some family members subtly tried to degrade Alexander's reputation in his absence. A cousin whispered that Alexander lacked courage. An aunt attempted to denigrate his character by hinting he had failed in business. Eleanor ignored them all. After hours of examining letters, journals, and accounts, Eleanor noticed a quiet pattern, a trail of unpaid loans. Alexander hadn't defaulted due to irresponsibility. He had been secretly helping destitute workers whose livelihoods the Hawthorne Company had begun to decimate with factory layoffs. Eleanor finally spoke. Alexander uncovered corruption within your businesses. He tried to expose it, but someone tried to silence him. A chill filled the room. She continued, the denouement becomes clear. Alexander was not weak. He was courageous, and someone had tried to frame him. At that moment, the butler timidly approached with a tray of delectable pastries, his hands trembling. Eleanor watched him closely. You seem nervous, she said gently. He began to demur, but she interrupted. The mud on your shoes, fresh from the northern woods. You've been somewhere recently, somewhere you don't want us to know. Cornered, the butler collapsed into a confession. He had discovered Alexander's plan to denounce the corruption that had enriched many members of the household. Fearing the demise of his own position, he locked Alexander in an abandoned storage house on the edge of the estate. Eleanor rushed to the location with the family. Deep inside the derelict building, they found Alexander, weak, cold, but alive. The story of his rescue would soon be told across the city, not as a tale of privilege, but one of courage, sacrifice, and truth. And as Alexander recovered, he vowed never again to let loyalty to his family overshadow loyalty to justice. Story 2. The Desolate Kingdom of Aramor. The Kingdom of Aramor had once been the jewel of the Eastern world, a land of art, music, and unmatched wisdom. But all of that glory had faded under the reign of King Mauric, a cunning ruler whose behavior bordered on the diabolical. What began as strict order soon slipped into tyranny, turning the beloved monarch into a feared despot. Villages that had once thrived now stood desolate, their markets empty, their laughter stolen. The people were not only poor, they were destitute, deprived of food, work, and even hope. Anyone who dared question the king faced public humiliation. Mauric took pleasure in delivering derogatory remarks to scholars, artists, and even loyal soldiers. His scorn was a form of derogation meant to deprive them of dignity. In this suffocating environment lived Alden, a young mapmaker known for his extraordinary dexterity with quills and parchment. His maps were so detailed that they seemed to breathe with life, rivers shimmering, mountains rising from the page. From these maps, other kingdoms would derive knowledge about hidden routes and uncharted lands. But Alden himself was painfully diffident, too shy to ever challenge authority. One winter morning, Alden was summoned to the castle, a dilapidated fortress that once symbolized pride but now reflected the kingdom's misery. The messenger who fetched him spoke in a derisive tone, as if mocking the idea that someone like Alden could matter. Inside the grand hall, Mauric presented Alden with a troubling dilemma. "There is a rebellion forming in the north," the king growled. "I want you to draw false maps, misleading ones. Maps that will send the rebels into the frozen marsh to perish." Alden's heart pounded. To obey meant contributing to the suffering of innocent citizens. To refuse meant execution. The tension within him formed a dichotomy, loyalty versus humanity. A conflict so sharp it felt painfully dichotomous, splitting his conscience in two. For the first time in his life, Alden chose not to deviate from his morals. He bowed respectfully and said, "Your Majesty, I cannot deceive those who have already lost everything." Mauric's eyes narrowed. "Desist from this foolishness," he hissed. "Your refusal is not bravery, it is treason." Alden knew speaking further would be detrimental to his life. Yet something awakened within him, a force stronger than fear. He had seen too much despicable cruelty to remain silent. With careful diligence, he crafted a plan. That night, he slipped into the fortress library, retrieving the ancient scrolls that contained the truth about Aramor's first rulers, just kings who valued didactic wisdom over violence. He carried these scrolls to the people, reading aloud their forgotten history in the candlelit streets. The effect was extraordinary. Hope, once dissipated, flickered back to life. The people gathered, no longer despondent, but determined. Even Mauric's soldiers began to question the king, realizing that truth could not be distorted forever. At dawn, when Mauric attempted to belittle Alden publicly and detract from his growing influence, the people stood firm. They refused to bow. The guards stepped aside, and the king, stripped of fear's illusion, was forced to flee his own kingdom. Alden's bravery had restored Aramor, not with weapons, but with truth, integrity, and a quiet courage that grew louder than tyranny itself. From that day on, Aramor was no longer ruled by fear, but by councils, scholars, farmers, and soldiers, ordinary people united in justice. And Alden, he returned to his maps. But now, he no longer drew borders that isolated people. He drew paths that connected them. Story 3. The Last Archives of Valemont Academy. Valemont Academy was not just a school, it was a world of marble staircases, vintage libraries, and quiet brilliance. Generations of royal heirs, diplomats, and prodigies had studied within those ivy-covered walls. Among them was Alara Quinn, a diligent scholarship student whose diminutive size often made people underestimate her, until she spoke. Alara possessed a fierce intelligence, but on a rainy autumn morning, she walked into the central atrium to find the academy in complete disarray. Professors were whispering in corners, students rushing anxiously, and rumors flying like unsettled birds. The reason? The Royal Ethics Archives, a confidential collection of centuries-old manuscripts, had gone missing. These archives documented the Academy's most guarded truths. Whoever possessed them could disseminate information powerful enough to alter the kingdom's history, or twist it beyond recognition through selective dissemination. Headmaster Aldrich summoned Alara privately. His voice calm yet disconcerting, he said, "Alara, you have a gift for noticing things others overlook. I need you to investigate this quietly. Be discreet. No one must know." Alara nodded, though his tone left her uneasy. Something felt wrong, discordant, like a note out of place in a grand symphony. As she began searching, she found a troubling discrepancy between the official statements and what students were whispering. A group of disgruntled seniors claimed the headmaster himself had forbidden them from accessing the archives for weeks without explanation. A professor whispered that Aldrich seemed unusually dismal lately, his confidence shaken. Alara's investigation led her to the old West Wing, a nearly abandoned corridor with cracked windows and wooden floors that groaned under each step. In a dusty classroom, she found a girl sitting alone, her face pale and disconsolate. It was Leora Hale, the Crown Prince's cousin. She hesitated before speaking. "I know why the archives vanished, but I cannot say it publicly. They will disparage me. They already call me unstable." Alara didn't judge. She remained dispassionate, listening carefully. Leora continued, "The archives contain evidence of extreme disparity, proof that the Royal Council funneled resources unfairly to elite families. If this truth spreads, it could destroy reputations." Suddenly, footsteps echoed in the hallway. Leora panicked, her voice barely a whisper. "You must dispel whatever lies they tell you. Please, the truth matters." She fled the room before the approaching figure arrived. It was Headmaster Aldrich. His expression was cold, almost disdainful. "Alara," he said quietly, "you should stop digging. Your involvement is discretionary, not required." His tone, meant to sound polite, felt disingenuous, and his attempt to disavow any personal connection to the missing archives felt forced. That night, Alara sneaked into Aldrich's private study. Hidden beneath a loose floorboard, she found the wooden chest that held the Royal Ethics Archives. She tried to lift it, but it was stuck. With effort, she managed to dislodge it, revealing a sealed envelope on top. Inside was Aldrich's confession. He had removed the archives to protect the Academy, but not from outsiders. From the disproportionate power held by royal families, who feared the past actions coming to light. Alara's heart filled with dismay. She admired Aldrich, but he had chosen fear over truth. The next morning, instead of exposing him publicly, she addressed the student council. She shared the truths, not the names, not the scandals, but the lessons the archives taught about fairness, justice, and accountability. Her speech spread through campus like wildfire, not harmful, not scandalous, but healing. For the first time in decades, students demanded transparency. They formed committees, created open debates, and replaced arrogance with humility. The Academy found strength in honesty rather than secrets. When confronted later, Aldrich looked at Alara with softened eyes, not with disdain, but with reluctant respect. "You saved this Academy from itself," he whispered. And Alara realized that sometimes, true courage is not loud. It is steady, principled, and quietly transformative. Story 4. The ominous inheritance of the opulent Marlowe dynasty. The Marlowe dynasty had always lived in a world of impossible luxury, opulent halls lined with crystal chandeliers, gardens sculpted to meticulous perfection, and a reputation so grand it felt almost omnipotent. But beneath the gold and grandeur lay a darkness that few dared to speak about. After the patriarch's death, the entire family assembled at the estate for the will's reading, a ritual steeped in orthodox tradition. Among them was Isabella Marlowe, the youngest heir. She moved with a calm, nonchalant grace, though her mind raced beneath the surface. Rumors whispered through the halls, rumors of a secret fortune, a hidden betrayal, and a nefarious plot unfolding within the family itself. The lawyer, Mr. Hallberg, entered the chamber with a morose expression. "Before the will is read," he began, "you must understand that your father anticipated a significant onslaught of tension after his passing." A low murmur spread across the room like a meandering river finding new paths. He continued, "Your father believed someone would try to obfuscate the truth. So he prepared something extraordinary." The lights flickered. The room felt colder. An ominous silence settled. A large safe was brought in, old, heavy, and nearly obsolete. Inside it lay a series of letters, sealed with the family crest. "For Isabella alone," the lawyer said. Gasps filled the room. Isabella's siblings stared with a mixture of envy and suspicion, especially Victor, who was known for his ostentatious displays of wealth and his obstinate refusal to ever accept being outshined. Isabella opened the first letter. Her father's handwriting, elegant yet trembling. "My child, if you are reading this, you must beware. Someone in this family wears a mask stitched with mendacious lies." Her pulse quickened. The next letter detailed strange events from the past year, a nascent pattern her father had begun to notice. Secret transactions, shadowy meetings, a guest list filled with strangers whose motives were nebulous at best. And then she read the line that froze her blood: "One among you seeks to dismantle our legacy with malevolent intent." Victor scoffed loudly, trying to mollify the panic rising in the room. "This is theatrical nonsense," he sneered. Father adored drama, but Isabella noticed the slightest tremor in his voice. The third letter revealed the truth behind the family's wealth. What the city admired as magnanimous charity and munificent donations had been used to disguise a myriad of crimes conducted by one person, someone who used the Marlowe name for their own benefit. And that person had gained notoriety in the underground world. Suddenly, the windows shattered. Masked men stormed the hall. The family screamed as chaos erupted, a violent, coordinated attack clearly meant to seize the letters. Victor ran toward the men, not to protect his family, but to retrieve a leather briefcase he had hidden beneath his chair. Isabella understood instantly. Victor was the one. Her father's warnings, the secrecy, the lies, the connections to dangerous people. Everything pointed to him. With calm determination, Isabella held up the final letter and shouted, "Stop!" Shockingly, the masked men obeyed. The leader removed his mask, revealing a face Isabella recognized, a guard her father had trusted deeply. "We work for your father," he said. "His last wish was to protect you from your own brother." Victor, desperate and cornered, lunged forward. But the guards restrained him, his entire web of lies collapsing around him. His plan had been as outlandish as it was wicked: steal the fortune, rewrite the will, and deprive his siblings of everything. As Victor was escorted out, Isabella finally exhaled. The lawyer approached her softly. "Miss Marlowe, what do you wish to do with your father's fortune?" She looked at the broken chandeliers, the shards on the floor, the legacy that almost fell victim to greed. With quiet resolve, she said, "Use it to rebuild, not our image, but our integrity." In that moment, Isabella became more than an heir. She became the true future of the Marlowe dynasty. Thank you so much for watching. Your time and attention mean a lot, and I truly appreciate your effort to improve your English every single day. If you found value in these stories, stay connected. There's so much more to learn, discover, and master. Until then, keep growing, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video.